You said something that you've tripled your net worth in how much time?
Since June of 2020. So it's been 2 years.
That's awesome. When I look at the foundation of KW, right, we look at leads, listings, leverage, and the focus lately has also been on wealth building. Out of those topics, what is it that you say, this is what I'm crushing, this is what I'm doing really well?
So definitely leverage okay. For sure. And also really following and understanding and breaking down the models. So basically taking every model, implementing it into a spreadsheet and visiting it every week to be sure that I'm where I need to be. And then the same thing with wealth. Wealth building has been amazing. I've almost tripled my net worth since June of 2020 when I started on my wealth journey with my coach, Liz Landry, which is incredible.
Holy smokes.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Okay. Let's unpack this really quick. So let's go back to the first thing you said, which is basically looking at the models and implementing a spreadsheet around it.
Yes.
So if we were to talk our friends through this and say, this is how you get started, what would be the first one they start with?
Economic model. For sure.
So when you look at the economic model, what does that spreadsheet look like for you? Just, in kind of broad terms of how are we setting it up to make sure that we're following the model?
Well, I know this is going to surprise you, but you basically take the chart that's in the MREA and you make a functioning, spreadsheet. And then I've built one out for buyer's agents. So, it takes the team split into consideration and it eliminates the seller side. Or the listing side rather. And then that is the first step on my kind of commission tracker. So when I'm hiring a new agent, I think it's really important to lift the ceiling of achievement. I think so many times, like the boilerplate answer in the motivational interview is that they want to make $100,000 a year. Always. Like maybe 75, but it's usually 100. Yes. And then if you revalidate that motivational interview, maybe a year later, and they're crushing it, suddenly that number becomes 250,000. And that gives me more joy than I could ever imagine. And, I've just gone through that with one of my buyer's agents. So to really see her lift her ceiling achievement. So I really try to do that right when I'm hiring them and recruiting them to be on our team. I want to show them that ceiling as soon as possible. So they may tell me $200,000 or $100,000, but I want to show them 150, 250, and what it would take to get there. So I break down the economic model in that way.
Okay, so you've got an economic model for the team that you're running, and then you've got a separate sheet for each agent that's on your team.
Correct.
Okay, and so when you're walking them through it, it takes into account their split.
Yes.
Does it break it down then and show them what the transaction count needs to be based on average sales price?
And it shows our team's average sales price versus the MLS average sales price because we're higher than the MLS. So, I want to show that, being on the Harris home team is going to create more profit for them just because of the price point we live in, where we lead generate and what we do. So I think that's an important point.
It is. They say that numbers are the language of real estate. And so what you're doing is you're saying, we're going to live by the numbers and I'm going to show our agents how they can get where they want to get that much faster.
Absolutely.
So then let's look at, you said something that you've tripled your net worth in how much time did you say?
Since June of 2020. So it's been 2 years.
2 years, and that was with the help of your coach. So talk me through what that looked like. How if somebody is sitting there and they're saying, gosh, this sounds great, and I can build a spreadsheet based on MREA, and potentially, Alison, we could get an example of what yours looks like. What's that next step when they say, I'm ready to do wealth building?
Well, so that's a great question because I do wealth building with the agents on my team as well. I sit down with them monthly because I think that it's very important to teach them the skills. It's really easy to make $150,000, go out and buy a Tesla and then feel like you need to make more money. But if you learn, how to really invest that money and have that money start working for you, I think that's important for the leverage on our team to learn as well. So basically, it starts really simply. A monthly budget is a really good place to start. But once you get beyond the monthly budget, it's really just a ledger of assets and liabilities. And I also have everybody on my team track their credit score because I really want to show them, we just use Credit Karma. But I, check it month by month. When I started my my wealth building journey, I was at a 719. I've been over 800 for the last 6 months. So, and it's amazing what opens for you credit wise, just getting over that 760 mark. So, I mean, I think if you're just paying attention to your credit scores, your accounts, and all of those things, and really understanding that, as you build your reserves and you make sure that you've got your chart of accounts the way you want it, you can go, it happens much faster than you expect. If you had told me in June of 2020 that I was going to visit my money every month and start making decisions because I'm visiting my money every month, that I would nearly triple my net worth, that doesn't seem like a reality that I could have even fathomed. So the fact that I'm here is incredible to me.
You mentioned a few things. Number one, creating a budget. When you first created a budget, how much time did you spend on that?
Well, the easiest way to do it is to take 3 months of bank statements and just highlight what you've spent money on. It's also really easy to see what things you can cut really easily. I promise you are all paying for subscriptions we don't need or want. They're just, we're living in a subscription-based economy right now. And so that's how so many people do that. So, it doesn't take long. I just got out 3 different colors of highlighters and I went by necessities. So, kids' tuition and utilities and groceries and medications. And then I, did fun stuff. And, I think I did travel as another one, whatever categories work for you. And then it's really easy to see what your base necessities are and how much that is. And then I want to have 6 months of that saved at all times. I was an agent during the downturn in 2008, 2009, and it was a really scary time. And there were times where I couldn't pay my bills, and I've made a decision I'm never going there again. Like that's just not a thing that I'm willing to do. So, I have 6 months of business reserves and 6 months of personal reserves. And then once I built those, then I started putting money aside to buy investment properties. I finally bought my first investment property. It's crazy. We as real estate agents, basically we are encouraged to use insider trading secrets. It's the only industry where it's allowed. Like, why aren't we all doing this? Like, it's so bonkers. So I went really small. I bought, a little $140,000 townhouse because I felt like I needed to start slow, but get comfortable with it. And it's working out better than I ever expected. It's cash flowing more than I thought it would. I had all of these projections. I know this is going to shock you. I had spreadsheets about how much I thought it would cash flow, and it's cash flowing a couple of $100 over that on a 15-year, which that interest rate's fantastic. I wish I had bought more before the interest rates had gone up, but it is what it is. But what they say, marry the house, date the rate. So I'll buy more and then just refinance them as the time comes.
Just for somebody out there that is like, gosh, this seems overwhelming. How much time do you think you spent at the very beginning of this building out your spreadsheets?
Probably spent an hour and a half building out the spreadsheet, getting everything done. I have multiple tabs. I can tell you exactly how much has been in every single account on the 5th of the month for the last 2 years. So I can really look at real-time numbers. Mine, it does not need to be as complicated as mine. It doesn't need to have all the history. You could really just make it as simple as updating your numbers once a month and then tracking the progress. Probably 3 hours total. And I spend less than 15 minutes a month on it now. So basically my husband and I both pull up our phones, pull up all of our credit card accounts, see where we are with those. We check Credit Karma. We log in our scores. We, I do the business accounts, and then I check at the payoffs on our personal residence and well as our investment property, check the payoffs on the cars, and look to see where we are. And it's just quick. And then our 401ks and IRAs and stuff as well. So it's really maybe going to 5 or 6 websites.
Why did it take you so long to start? Because I think, I also, I coach a lot of people that are hesitant just to get started on that wealth building journey. It seems overwhelming.
I have always been fearful around money, and money has made me afraid. Like if you read The Psychology of Money, I have lived in the fear level of that. And that was the first thing, was to read that book, The Psychology of Money, and understand why my feelings are the way they are. My dad lost his job in 1993, and he was without work for probably 14 months. We had to move. We changed cities. It was really disruptive. And I still see my parents operating in the fear around money. And I had to make that decision to no longer be afraid of it. And the first step to not being afraid of it is to visit it. It's like, you can just peek at it. Like, I used to tell my financial advisor that I'm just going to give you money and I'm not going to open my monthly statements. It's best that I don't know what's there. Like, literally, she jokes with me. She's like, how is this possible? How are you the same person? And it's that book. That book changed my mindset. And the encouragement of my coach, Liz Landry, is absolutely incredible. She's amazing. And she really pulled me in to do it. And this is, I have to say, was probably the catalyst that made me decide that I needed to restructure my team, because it made me understand where I wanted to go. It made my level of achievement and what my goals are for myself raise exponentially. And so with all of that, it's realizing what kind of relationship you have with money, why you have it, and then you figure out how to solve it. And that's what that book did for me.
So what's next for you? I mean, what are your goals? And if we had another conversation a year from now, what are your expectations of where you'll be or where you hope to be?
Well, I feel like starting the new team in August of 2021, that it's like time on task over time. We've put lots of really great habits into place. Buyers agents are doing script practice. Our lead generation models are really solid. And I just am waiting for all of those things to congeal in the way that I know they will, because of all of the many times I've read the MREA. And I know that really focusing on those models and being in the budget model and following all of those things, and having really great lead generation sources and tracking those, I know that that's going to come together. My buyer's agent, she's closed 29 transactions this year so far. She's absolutely killing it, and I'm so proud of herself, and I'm proud of her. And so to be 22% ahead of where I was last year is really affirming to me. But it's funny, especially because I've done the wealth building and I've squirreled away all this money in all these little pockets, and it's hidden in all these accounts. I feel like I have no money, which is hilarious to me, sort of. But also it makes me realize, like, when I am afraid, or like, I know exactly how much the team needs to bring in to hit my profit numbers, because there's a spreadsheet for that. And I know exactly when. I also know that we're $400 away from $500,000 in GCI. So it's like, I don't know if we're going to do confetti cannons or what we're going to do, but like, one of my buyer's agents is going to cross the threshold this week, and we're going to do something super fun. So
I vote for confetti cannons.
Yeah, me too.
And I would like to see a video of that.
Yeah, we were just talking about it. So I think we're going to go to Party City and go pick some up. But it's just amazing when you know your numbers and you know exactly where you are. It takes the fear out of the shift. It's still a little scary, but then I look back and I look at my wealth building spreadsheet and I see the reserves and I see where we are, and I know that I'm going to be okay. There may be some trimming of the fat. There may be some budgets that need to get tightened up, but as long as I keep doing what I'm doing, it's going to be just fine. I'm a much more whole agent this shift than I was the last.